Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back, or welcome for the first time to the show today. We're going to be talking with Ben Ufana, and he has devoted more than 35 years to helping people heal, grow, and transform through meditation, embodiment practices, and traditional healing methods. His work offers retreat leaders valuable insights to creating experiences that move beyond inspiration and foster genuine, sustainable change. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thank you, Holly. Nice to join you today.
Okay, well, let's just dive into it. I have some questions here for you, and I would love to just have a little conversation with you here. So you ready to dive in?
Definitely. Let's go for it.
Okay. What separates a retreat that simply inspires people from one that genuinely transforms them?
There are a lot of times I've spent time at retreats where there's just so much information, and also you have a lot of individuals who facilitate these events. They can be very inspirational. They inspire. We're captivated by their vision. But a lot of times what happens is afterwards we go home. We're settling back in our normal, or what we're used to, environment, and with the same, everything that's conditioned us, everything that we're struggling with, or the challenges we face on a daily basis. And so what happens is we tend to lose a lot of that inspiration, that spark, that excitement. And so when I've worked with people, for instance, because I would sometimes I've facilitated events, multiple day events, but primarily evening events. And so because of the work I've done, my training, there are a combination of things: training with a Native American doctor, an actual medicine man, and the training that goes with that, the Vision Quest, 4 days and nights alone in the mountains, no food and water, and also the intensive practice I do on a daily basis, the form of meditation where digesting lived experiences, all the emotions attached to them. When I'm in front of the room, I see and I feel what people are carrying in their bodies. So what comes to me right off is like, wow, it's like, here's what this person's carrying. And there's critical work to do. And if we don't get in and really start addressing this person's going to take off, they're going to go home, and they'll be distracted by a million things. So what is it that I could provide to them right off that? And namely, I'm walking them through practices. I'm putting them in touch with what they're carrying, because I see it and I feel it from people being so empathic. Teaching them the practices where they're actually working to digest both their lived experiences, their emotional responses. And the more I can get people to do that and internalize that practice, they're going to take it home with them. They're going to have something they can work with.
Yeah, sure.
To continue their healing.
Yeah, so I know you teach people to feel like they're getting more fully embodied in something rather than just throw in the information. A lot of people that we're inundated by information. And so talk about that and what your process looks like by doing that.
Yeah, more and more. It's, as I remember going back working in the 90s, for instance, and it was a lot easier because I could have to return to the East Coast, Boston, New York, about 4 times a year. And I'd be doing sessions and people would retain what they had experienced, and I'd return 3-4 months later and they're still tracking on it. Now, as social media and our devices have become more and more sophisticated, we are bombarded with more digital content, information than ever before. And as human beings, we have a limited processing capacity. And so all of this media we're consuming, it leaves impressions, and then it evokes emotional and cognitive responses. And because our processing capacity is overwhelmed, we're not able to digest that, and that prohibits us from digesting our lived experiences and our own emotional responses as well. So what happens is that there's all this residue, this accumulation that builds up in people's bodies. So what I do when people show up in classes, and before COVID, I was teaching classes on a weekly basis in New York City, then Boston every other week. And a lot of times people are showing up for the first time. I've never seen them before. I have no idea what's going on. After a brief introduction, and they would maybe mention a few things, I start dropping them into their body and, bring to your awareness. And here's the practice itself. One, what's going on? Like, what is it that's concerning you? Is it a relationship? Maybe you picture that person or feel the relational dynamic, or maybe both. Yeah. You're dealing with work-related stress. Whatever challenges you're facing, bring it fully to the forefront of your awareness. 2, what do you feel in response to it? What emotions, feelings, what physical sensations? Then 3, where are they situated in your body? Are they in your throat, your abdomen? Are they embedded deep within your chest or some other part of your body? 4, bring as much awareness as you can, descend into the depths of these feelings, these bodily sensations, and begin breathing very, very softly all the way down to your abdomen, expanding your abdomen, then rib cage. Pause, and then exhale as slowly as you can, all the way out. Pause again, and continue this cycle. And what will happen, and it depends, if you're in that acute stage, like the person just ghosted you or the relationship just crashed, that the emotions may not dissipate all that quickly, but it can take considerable amounts of time. But in many instances, what people find happening is what they're feeling, the feeling sensations, maybe they spread, to occupy a larger space in your body, they may shift to other locations. It may go through a whole succession, for instance, grief to anger to sadness to a sense of I can't control this to okay, I'm letting go, starting to move on. And that's just one of many successions.
Yeah.
This progression of feelings. And this is critically important because this is where the vast majority of people run into difficulty, get into trouble, is they're not digesting their lived experiences and emotional responses. What we are not able to digest, assimilate, it accumulates in our bodies in terms of our relationships, or even just our ability to function in different respects.
Yeah.
Whatever we're carrying, that creates a filter through which we perceive other people, the world around us, how life is unfolding. And the more we can chew up, digest, work through, it gives us greater clarity, insight, understanding. So this is the basic practice. There are many variations. And as I was saying, people show up with all kinds of, a whole range of different issues or concerns. If someone's experiencing digestive distress, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease, or IBS, the practice I would guide them through would be quite a bit different. Or if they're suffering as a result of a traumatic brain injury, it's a very different practice I would guide them through.
Right. Well, I'm curious, for those of us like me, very ADHD, I can tell you're a person that's calming, and people being around of you, it's like I would almost talk a little lower. They know I'm loud. Well, not as loud as I used to be, but I'm loud. So people that are like that in a busy world, it's really a struggle for meditation and thought processes. And so can you give us maybe 2 or 3 tips to help someone like that so that they can maybe figure out a better way they can use this practice to focus?
Not sure that there's just generalized tips that are going to apply to everyone, but say if you were in my class, if you were sitting right in front of me, then I'm tuning into you.
Yeah.
You're tuning into your physical body, tuning into your cognitive, your emotional state at the time. And often there's that sense of scatteration. You're all over the place. You have thoughts. And so, for instance, right now, right in the moment, what can you sense in your own body?
I did this practice with someone last week, and I was like, I couldn't even think of an emotion I was feeling. Because that particular day, I have long COVID from all my
Okay.
crazy journey. So I was feeling a lot of pain. So it was funny because we were doing this exercise. So, okay. Okay. So let's see. What was the question again?
Tune into your body, even if for
Okay.
10 seconds, just close your eyes and really tune into what you feel. Like, what are the sensations? What are the feelings? What is it like energetically to be in your body?
Yeah. Today I'm feeling pretty calm. I don't
Okay.
feel, but I think your personality style is more that way. So I feel like people like me would, like I said, you'd speak softer, you'd be calmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I could have someone in front of me that is experienced severe trauma and
Yeah.
they're pretty reactive and
Right.
ooh, uh, sometimes there's a volatility and I can be feeling quite anxious because some of these individuals are like powder kegs. They're easily triggered and they
No,
can
it's
go
true.
off.
Well, and just I think when you're having to identify like an emotion in your body, and I think retreat leaders probably run into this a lot when they're doing transformational work, or they're bringing someone like you in to do this kind of embodiment work, meditation, whatever is happening. Yeah, I think, you bring people in from all different places in the world a lot of times, and they're raised differently. You're right. The traumas are different. The personalities are different. And so I feel like there isn't just this one fix all. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you there. But I feel like people that are in the ADHD world and I don't like labels necessarily. People understand it when you say that. But I don't love labels. But anyway, just saying that type of people, it's really hard to get that calmness. I mean, I get it now way more than I ever did before because I was in the hospital for 70 days. I was in a coma for 50, so it's like,
Wow.
I understand, when you're in your head like that and that headspace, it's you have to learn, like, it's a mindset. That's what I would say. It is all a mindset. And I think what you're teaching, it puts them in a lot better state and a lot better mindset than when they're coming in. And I think it's just getting people to focus. We're just in such a fast-paced world that I think everyone goes to retreats to get
Yeah.
some kind of transformation, like
Yeah.
at whatever level it is, even if it's a business retreat or they're learning there, whatever kind they're going to. I feel like that's it. That's their mindset, is I'm going to have some kind of transformation. Or really, why would you go? Unless it's just a girl's trip or a guy's trip, that's a little bit different. But
I could think of, well, I'll mention two things.
yeah,
First,
yeah.
the with the ADHD component and your minds, you're pulled in different directions. One thing I've been doing more recently is I can feel when there's this anxiety that's
Mhm.
brewing underneath the surface, where maybe I'm experiencing certain
Yeah.
insecurity or other emotions. And I'm scheduled to return to Sri Lanka in just a few weeks. And I have some of my strongest connections. Yeah, that's where I feel most at home. And so there's a lot going on around that.
Yeah.
But I can be walking through New York City and I feel that coming up. And there's a way in which our intellect, our mind, our emotions, and our physical body, there's a lot of disconnect there. So even I'm doing this in a way so as not to be too conspicuous, but I
Sure.
find that so many people are so self-absorbed, they're not really that aware anyway. But
So
it's
true.
like I'm putting my hands on where those feelings are coming up, which I'm feeling a lot of it, like either in my chest or a little further down on my solar plexus. I'm putting my
Okay.
hands there.
Hmm.
And that's creating that bridge between the intellect, the mind, because often what happens with that disconnect is that these emotions are operating and there's a lot of kind of imaginings, and we're imagining certain scenarios playing out, and then there's the anxious feelings or whatever. And but again, the disconnect, things are not bridging and they're not processing as well. So what I find is when I put my hands there and then I'm breathing, I bring my awareness down into this
Hmm.
area where my hands are, it's starting to bridge the gaps. And so when you find yourself you're struggling with the ADHD, that scatteration, it's anchoring you back into your body. One of the, I guess you could call it a retreat. I've traveled to China a couple of times, and I spent 17 years training this one master from China in Xinyiquan, Baguazhang, Tai Chi, Qigong, internal martial arts that are rooted in Taoism. And when I went to China, I trained with one of his relatives that had also attained mastery, and hardly anyone spoke English. And it was having to rely on a Chinese-English dictionary most of the time, and we still managed to communicate. But one of the things that really helped was having I brought a video camera. And I know a lot of retreat facilitators are hesitant to allow their work to be filmed. But as a facilitator, there needs to be either some kind of detailed notes, or there needs to be some kind of video component, because when you go into some kind of intensive training and you go through that, but okay, you're there and you're immersed in that experience, and then you go home, you're back in your customary environment and around the same people and same work related and relational stresses and all that's what you got there, it's going to evaporate. And so you need that reinforcement to be able to take with you, so you could listen again or go back through those practices. You need to go through it. There needs to be that repetition. Otherwise, it's just going to evaporate, especially with everything that's competing. And now with all the digital media, and, we're constantly bombarded and scrolling, and even worse, short form content. Whatever you absorbed from that workshop, it's just going to evaporate.
Yeah, so true. I want to add back to the recordings. Retreat leaders need to make sure you have a media release from those people, because you can, if you end up putting something out there that they didn't give you permission, especially when you're doing transformational work and people are falling apart and doing things, be careful how you use that, I would say, just to be respectful, but make sure you have that media release, because I think that's super important to add. What do you think? What do you think is the best way to continue integration from a retreat after it's over? What would you suggest?
Well, one thing real quick, you were talking about the media release and everything. And I think there's also, with the facilitators, cutting out some of the parts where really detailed personal information.
Yes.
That would reveal what's going on with a particular individual.
Yeah. If it's super personal, even if you got a media release, out of respect, that is a way you could do it. But I would also present it to that person if it's very personal, and make sure after you edit it that they're still okay with that. Obviously, usually they're excited that you did such great work for them. That's why you want to use the transformational video or whatever. So, but if they're a really private person, even if they signed a media release, they might have forgot. And the other thing with that is when they see a video camera, sometimes maybe they don't let themselves go fully in, they won't get that transformation because it's being filmed, because we care, we care what other people think. We're just human, but anyway.
Definitely. And one of the things I would do is, after the actual class or workshop, whatever, I would offer to scan people's bodies. And because of all the intensive training practice that I've gone through, working through so many layers of wounding trauma, it made me highly empathic. And so I have the person standing in front of me, and I'm holding my hand in front of their body. So I'm looking down into the body, seeing all kinds of things, like what's manifesting physically in the body, getting what kind of emotional states they're in at the moment, and as well as those that predominate. Feeling the actual traumatic events they've gone through, what resources they have that enable them to cope or function.
Right.
A lot of times when there's trauma, adversity, sometimes it can leave people very much dissociated. Even if they don't meet the clinical standards of criteria for, say, dissociative disorder, they're still quite disconnected. And then there's a lot of infrastructure, for lack of a better term, that has to do with their ability to function. I see where that's either developed or has failed to develop. I see how it's affected the biochemical makeup of the brain, the development of the neural structure of the brain. I'm picking up on all this. And I'm reflecting back what I see, and I'm checking to confirm, do you feel this is correct?
Yeah.
But one of the things I do is I check in with people. You were asking me about how participants can continue the transformation, the growth. So as they're in class, making sure they have a working understanding of the practices so they can take that home with them.
Yeah.
But even from there, even if I have permission, I'm a little more cautious with women because, some kind of boneheaded things that men do that have made women very uncomfortable. So
yeah,
I'm just more cautious with boundaries, but so I'll follow up with an email or something, or maybe a text to offer to check in. With men, I'll just pick up the phone and call.
Sure.
More likely. Sure. But when I have that permission, then I do follow up, and it's like, okay, so how are you doing since? And that could be whether an individual session itself, if they showed up at a class or a multiple day event.
Right.
What's going on? And have you been able to work with the practices that I've shown you? Okay, so now you've been dealing with this challenge, and so have you actually applied it there? And I will often take time and walk them through additional practice to make sure that they got it. So that way they're really going away with something that they could utilize. They're getting that. Okay, you learned it initially, but often to learn a practice or series of practices one time, it's not enough. It doesn't stick yet. So when I follow up by phone, it's like, and walk them back through the practice, or maybe show them a specific application depending on what's happening at the time we're talking there over the phone, then they are more likely to internalize it, and the more repetition they get. And there's a balancing act too, because those of us who are practitioners or who facilitate these events, we put out a lot of time and effort, and I don't think a lot of that's really appreciated.
Yeah.
And we have limited time ourselves. We need to have our own lives, and we have to support ourselves. We only have so much time and energy available, but it's like, okay, how much I want to give to make sure that this person that I worked with in whatever context, I want to make sure they're really getting it. Yeah. And there's also a significantly higher likelihood that this person, having really internalized this, and as they continue working with the practices, they're far more likely to experience a real, genuine, lasting transformation. They're far more likely to return, and when they return, it's going to be much, much, much deeper.
I love that. No, I think it's good to have a practice that you can continue, that you actually can teach someone that they can continue to use. The other one thing came up real quick, and then we are out of time. I just wanted to say, I think another really, really special thing to give the attendees when you're doing transformation work is take a picture. Usually we have a photographer there. Take a picture of them the first day and take a picture of them the last day, because usually you can see the change. You can see the light in their face. And I think that's just something special to let them know, all the progress that they made over whatever days the retreat is. But okay. Thank you so much today for coming, Ben, and sharing some of your ideas with us. I'm sure our retreat leaders got a lot of juicy stuff out of it. I know I learned a lot, and I appreciate you being here. We're going to put Ben's information into our show notes. So if you want to reach out to him on his website or LinkedIn or Instagram, go ahead and grab those links and check more of his work out. And until then, thank you again for being here.
Sure. Thank you, Holly.
Okay, see y'all next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember,
Great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time. Thinking about hosting a retreat? Before you dive in, let's make sure you're really ready. Grab your free Are You Retreat Ready checklist and find out if you've got everything in place from your purpose and pricing to your audience and agenda. Don't guess. Get clear. This quick checklist will show you exactly where you stand and what you need to make your retreat a success. Click the link below in the show notes to grab your gift and take the first step toward hosting with confidence.